Welcome to the world of dreams and devotion, where the golden sands of Dubai meet the ink of a poet who rules not just a nation, but hearts across continents. Tonight, we open the gates to Whispers of Dubai, a poem written by none other than Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum, the Crown Prince of Dubai, known to the world as Fazza. It is not merely a poem, it is a heartbeat written in verses, a reflection of love, destiny, and the city that shaped his soul. The poem begins like a mirage at dawn, soft, mysterious, and alive with meaning. Each word drifts through the desert breeze like a secret carried from the heart of a man who has seen the world yet remains devoted to his roots. Through Fazza's lines, Dubai speaks, not in skyscrapers or luxury, but in emotion, loyalty, and longing. He doesn't write for fame, he writes because silence can no longer hold the fire that burns within him. In Whispers of Dubai, he paints the city as a living soul, one that dreams when the moonlight touches the Burj Khalifa, and one that remembers its humble sands even beneath the weight of gold. He speaks to Dubai as if she were a beloved, proud, graceful, eternal. Every verse feels like a letter written under the stars, as if Fazza is whispering not to the world, but to the soul of the city that raised him. There is a certain stillness in his words, the kind that only those who understand true love can feel. He writes of moments when the sea sings its stories to the shore, when the falcon returns to its master's arm, and when the wind carries his thoughts across the dunes. Beneath every line, you can sense the rhythm of a heart that beats in harmony with the land he calls home. This poem touched millions because it is not just about Dubai, it's about belonging. It's about every heart that has ever loved something greater than itself. Fazza's words remind us that love is not only between people, it can exist between a man and his homeland, between a poet and his purpose. His whispers become our whispers, his pride becomes our own. Through delicate imagery, Fazza captures contrasts, the silence of the desert against the hum of the city, the stillness of the night against the pulse of modern life. Yet, he never lets them clash, instead, he unites them in beauty. His poem becomes a bridge between tradition and progress, between the soul of old Dubai and the heartbeat of the new. As readers, we feel pulled into his world. You can almost hear the soft call of the adhan echoing through the dawn, feel the warmth of the sand beneath your feet, and see the gentle reflection of the moon over the Dubai Creek. Fazza's verses breathe life into what most people see only as a skyline. He shows us the soul behind the lights. When he writes with reverence, not just for Dubai, but for love itself. His poetry is not bound by language or culture, it transcends all borders. It reaches the hearts of those who have never seen Dubai, yet suddenly feel they have walked its streets and watched its sunsets. That is the power of his art. He doesn't just describe, he makes you feel. Many say Whispers of Dubai was born from a night of deep reflection, when the Crown Prince watched the city glitter beneath the moon. Perhaps it was in that still hour that he realized, greatness is not in the noise of achievement, but in the quiet moments of gratitude. Every word he wrote that night carried the scent of memory, the taste of humility, and the light of hope. The poem became a phenomenon, shared, recited, and celebrated by millions around the world. Not because it was written by a royal, but because it carried something deeper, sincerity. People found pieces of themselves within his lines. The worker in the city, the dreamer on a distant shore, the lover watching the horizon, all felt Fazza was speaking to them. It's as if the poem itself is a heartbeat of Dubai, reminding the world that the city's true wealth lies not in its towers, but in its soul. Fazza reminds us that every grain of sand here has a story, every wave carries a whisper, and every dream is born from courage.
In Whispers of Dubai, the poet becomes both narrator and listener. He listens to the call of his city, to the laughter of its people, to the silent strength of its desert. Then he answers with verses that feel like blessings. He gives voice to the unseen, the emotion behind progress, the tenderness behind power. And then, as if the desert itself found a voice, Dubai whispered back. Its reply was not in words, but in the hush of the wind that swept through the dunes, in the shimmer of light that danced upon the Arabian Gulf. It spoke to Fazza not as a prince, but as its son, a soul carved from its golden sands and guided by its eternal horizon. The city answered his love with a silence that carried gratitude, pride, and unspoken devotion. It was as though every palm tree, every minaret, and every wave understood the poem and bowed in reverence. In those quiet hours when the world sleeps, Sheikh Hamdan often finds his inspiration in the pulse of Dubai's night. The glowing skyline becomes his page, and the stars become his ink. He listens to the rhythm of life around him, the distant laughter, the prayers, the hum of engines returning home, and he writes not as a ruler, but as a witness to the miracle his ancestors dreamed of. His words rise like prayer, soft yet powerful, echoing through the soul of every listener who knows that progress without poetry is hollow. The whispers of Dubai remind him that love must never fade, even in power. They tell him that greatness lies not in what we build, but in how we feel for the land beneath our feet. They remind him of his late father's wisdom, of his family's endless devotion to their people, and of his duty to nurture the city not as an empire, but as a living heart. Every verse he writes becomes a seed planted in time, growing into something that will outlive even the tallest tower. Sometimes, Fazza's words feel like prophecy. He speaks of unity, of peace, of hope that moves faster than time. His poetry reflects Dubai's journey, from a humble desert port to a beacon that lights the modern world. But behind that glitter lies the heartbeat of simplicity, a reminder that the essence of beauty still lives in the sand, the sky, and the sincerity of human connection. It is that humility that makes his poem eternal, that transforms whispers of Dubai into something more than literature, into a legacy of love. The people of Dubai, and those far beyond its borders, feel that legacy deeply. When they read his verses, they see more than a leader, they see a man who feels. They see the gentleness behind strength, the poet behind the prince. In his words, they find comfort. In his silence, they find wisdom. His poetry becomes a mirror for their own emotions, for their love, their longing, their dreams of belonging to something timeless and pure. Each whisper from Dubai seems to promise Fazza that its beauty will never end, that as long as his heart beats for her, her spirit will keep rising beyond the clouds. It's a love that time cannot age, a devotion that power cannot corrupt. And as his poem travels through generations, carried on screens and lips across the world, the message remains clear: love is the truest form of leadership, and poetry is the purest act of remembrance. And so the story continues, the poet and his city, forever bound in the dance of light and silence. Dubai whispers to him through the breeze, through the